Have you ever thought about how your body might be warning you about something, silently? What if the signs are already there, but you've just been brushing them off? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the early, often ignored signs that your prostate may be in trouble. One of them, number 5, is overlooked by most men until it's too late. But here's the kicker. This sign can sneak up on you even if everything else seems fine. Why does it happen? What does it actually mean for your health? And more importantly, what can you do today to take control of your future? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have answers. Real answers. If you care about staying strong, avoiding serious health problems, and living a full, active life, hit that subscribe button now. Your health deserves it. So let's dive into something most men never want to talk about. The prostate. It's a part of the male body that gets almost no attention until it causes problems. And then, for some men, it's already too late. But here's the truth that a lot of people don't realize. Prostate issues don't begin with pain. They don't begin with something dramatic. They usually start with tiny, almost invisible signs. Subtle changes, things that you'd easily chalk up to aging or being tired or maybe just a stressful day, but they're not. They're signals. Your body's way of saying, hey, something's not right. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you needed to pee, but then nothing really happened? Or maybe it took longer than usual. Maybe you chalked it up to drinking too much coffee or not drinking enough water. But what if that little delay is a sign that your prostate is already under pressure? What if that slow stream is one of the first warnings your body is giving you? One of the most overlooked signs is actually how often you wake up at night. Picture this. You're getting up at 2 a.m., then again at 4:30 just to go to the bathroom. And sure, once or twice could be normal if you had a big glass of water before bed. But when it starts becoming a pattern, when it interrupts your sleep more than once a night, multiple nights a week, that's not just aging, that's your bladder being squeezed by an enlarged prostate. And when that happens, your body can't fully empty your bladder even though it feels full. That's why you keep waking up. That's why you keep going. What most men don't know is that frequent urination at night is called nocturia. And while it sounds harmless, studies show that it's one of the earliest functional signs of prostate enlargement. Not pain, not bleeding, not something dramatic, just waking up in the dark, stumbling to the bathroom again and again. And here's where it gets interesting. Nocturia has been linked to increased risk of falls, fractures, even cardiovascular events, because disrupted sleep affects your entire system. So it's not just annoying, it's dangerous. But let's take it further. Have you noticed any changes in your sexual health? This is a tough one, because many men assume that changes in libido or performance are just part of getting older. But in many cases, it's actually connected to prostate inflammation or hormonal shifts triggered by prostate dysfunction. When the prostate becomes inflamed or begins to grow, it can interfere with the nerves and blood flow necessary for healthy sexual function. And the cruel part? It doesn't usually happen overnight. It happens slowly, gradually. First, it's lower drive. Then, it's difficulty maintaining performance. Then, frustration, avoidance, silence. And it doesn't have to be that way. The science is pretty clear. Chronic inflammation in the prostate can interfere with testosterone signaling. That's right. Your testosterone might be fine on paper, but if the prostate's inflamed, that signal isn't getting through the way it should. And that's not just about performance. It's about energy, confidence, mood, motivation. And the link between testosterone and the prostate is a delicate one. You mess with one, you affect the other. Now here's the part that most men find shocking. Sign number 5, the one almost everyone ignores, is fatigue. Not just the I had a long day kind of tired. I'm talking about that dragging, can't get motivated, heavy feeling tired that settles in and sticks around. And most men never link it to their prostate, but you should. Because chronic inflammation, especially in the prostate, affects your body's energy systems. It ramps up your immune response. And when your immune system is chronically activated, it uses up energy, quietly, day after day, week after week. And you feel it in your bones. Your motivation dips. Your clarity suffers. You're slower to recover. And if you've noticed that you're more tired than usual, more often, and you can't point to a reason like sleep or stress or overwork, that's a red flag. And what's worse, when you go to your doctor, they may run some blood work, see nothing unusual, and say you're fine, but you're not. Because unless they're checking your prostate, unless they're looking at PSA levels or doing a physical exam, They might miss the very thing that's draining your energy. And it doesn't stop there, because the fatigue is just a symptom. What it's pointing to is deeper, a body that's operating in constant low-grade inflammation, a system that's trying to keep up, but is losing ground. So if you've been brushing off the fatigue, thinking it's just life, think again. Combine that with a little hesitancy when you go to the bathroom. Add in waking up more than once a night. Stir in some performance changes. And what do you get? A pattern, a picture, a very real possibility that your prostate is already calling for help. And then we get to something even subtler. Discomfort. Not pain, discomfort. Maybe a pressure in your lower abdomen. A strange sensation when you sit for too long. A tension you can't quite explain. Most men ignore this completely. They'll stretch or stand or change chairs. But the feeling doesn't really go away. It lingers, and it gets a little worse over time. That pressure, that's your prostate swelling against the structures around it. And you won't feel it as pain, at least not at first. You'll feel it as a weird tension. And here's the wild part. Your brain doesn't even interpret it as a problem right away. That's why you ignore it. But now you know better. When these signs start stacking up, when you can check more than one off the list, that's your signal, not to panic, but to act. Because the sooner you respond, the more options you have. And here's where things get even more practical. Because if you're wondering what you can do, starting today, the answer isn't complicated. It's consistent. You can shift your diet, reduce inflammatory foods, get more zinc, selenium, and lycopene, nutrients shown to support prostate health. Tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, green tea, hydrate well, exercise, manage stress. Even moderate weight loss can shrink an inflamed prostate and improve symptoms dramatically. But even more than that, awareness is power. You now have it, so don't ignore it. You solve everything for everyone else. You take care of the house, work, race against time. But what about you? How many times have you put off your health? What starts as a simple symptom can become a chronic problem, but it can also be treated before with the right guidance. There is a simple and powerful way to give your body the care it's asking for, and it's in the pinned comment. Your health can't wait any longer. And now, let's keep going, because if the first part already made you stop and think, what comes next is going to connect even more dots. You see, once those early signs start to appear and you understand what they might mean, the natural next question is, how bad can it get? And the answer depends on how quickly you take action. Because here's something that isn't talked about enough. Prostate issues don't usually start with cancer. They start with dysfunction. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, is the fancy term for prostate enlargement. It's not cancer, but it can lead to some of the most frustrating and eventually dangerous symptoms if left unchecked. Imagine trying to go through your day constantly feeling like you need to urinate, but not quite being able to. That sensation doesn't just stay in the background, it becomes a distraction. You're trying to work, you're at dinner, you're on a road trip, and there it is again, that persistent, nagging pressure. It starts small, but it builds. And the kicker? When you finally do go, it's weak, interrupted, unsatisfying. That stream you used to take for granted, now it stops and starts. That's a key hallmark of BPH, and it's not just inconvenient, it's a sign that your urinary tract is under mechanical stress. And if that stress continues, it can lead to more than just discomfort. It can trigger urinary tract infections, bladder damage, even kidney strain over time. Think about that. Something that starts as a minor inconvenience can eventually become a full-blown health risk. And yet most men still wait. They wait for something serious. But by the time the urgency ramps up to something that feels serious, you've already lost time. And here's where it gets even more critical. Your body is trying to adapt. It's working around the problem. Your bladder muscles thicken to compensate. Your body starts to reroute effort and energy just to maintain what used to be easy, and you don't notice it until it fails. That's why one of the most dangerous things about prostate dysfunction is that you get used to it. You adjust, you make excuses, you tell yourself this is just what getting older feels like, but it's not. And that mindset, the one that says, I'll deal with it later, That's the real danger. But let's zoom in on one of the sneakiest signs, the sudden urge. That feeling like you need to find a bathroom now, not in a few minutes, now. It might not even happen every day at first. Maybe it catches you once while you're in traffic, maybe once in a meeting. But that jolt of urgency, that's your bladder signaling distress. And when that becomes frequent, your quality of life starts to take a hit. You start planning your day around bathroom access. You limit your travel. Your confidence takes a dip. And before long, your lifestyle shrinks without you realizing it. And there's something you need to hear clearly right now. That's not inevitable. That's not just how it is when you hit 50 or 60 or 70. That's your body responding to a fixable problem, but only if you act. Now, you might be wondering, does this mean something's already wrong with me? The answer isn't always black or white. The prostate naturally grows as men age. It's a biological fact. But the speed and extent of that growth is influenced by many things: your hormones, your diet, your activity level, your stress. And there's one hormone in particular that plays a central role here: dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. It's derived from testosterone. But too much DHT, especially over time, can cause the prostate to grow faster and larger than it should. This is where things like lifestyle, food choices, and yes, stress management come into play. Chronic stress raises cortisol, and cortisol, in high amounts, interferes with your natural hormone balance, including testosterone. When testosterone drops or becomes less efficient, DHT can dominate, and that drives inflammation, swelling, and symptoms. But again, there's power in knowing, because there are simple, proven ways to support a healthier hormonal balance. Exercise, particularly resistance training, helps boost natural testosterone production. Zinc, found in foods like oysters, pumpkin seeds, and beef, is crucial for hormone health. Even getting enough quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night, can help regulate your hormone rhythm and reduce the kind of silent inflammation that fuels prostate problems. And here's something else to think about: your gut. You might not associate gut health with your prostate, but the connection is real. Your gut microbiome plays a huge role in controlling inflammation throughout your entire body. A poor diet, especially one high in processed foods, sugars, and seed oils, disrupts that microbiome. That leads to systemic inflammation, which doesn't stay in the gut. It affects your brain, your joints, your heart, and yes, your prostate. So if you're eating fast food more than once or twice a week, if you're drinking sugary sodas or snacking on chips or cookies often, you are feeding the cycle. But you can break it. Start by increasing fiber. Vegetables, nuts, flax seeds, chia, they feed your gut bacteria the good stuff, and in return, they help calm inflammation, regulate hormones, and even support better urinary health. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you: emotional health. It sounds unrelated, but stress, anxiety, and even suppressed frustration can lead to chronic tension in your pelvic floor. Over time, that tension contributes to the same symptoms as prostate inflammation: frequency, urgency, pain. And what do most men do with emotional stress? They bottle it. They man up. But chronic stress isn't strength. It's corrosive, and learning to manage it through breath work, meditation, hobbies, or simply talking to someone can dramatically reduce the symptoms you're facing. And finally, the most powerful change you can make: stop ignoring yourself. Stop brushing things off because they're inconvenient, because it's not that bad. Your body deserves better. You deserve better. The good news: you don't need a radical overhaul. You just need small, consistent upgrades. Less sugar, more whole foods, more movement, less sitting, better sleep. Prostate health isn't a mystery, it's a mirror. It reflects how you're treating yourself day to day. So if you've heard yourself in any part of this, if you've felt that weird pressure or had that restless night or been dealing with that slow stream, don't wait. This is your call. Start now. Because when you pay attention early, you keep your options wide open. You stay in control. And if this video sparked something in you, if it made you realize just how much your health matters, don't stop here. Tap the next video on screen right now and keep going. You're already on the path. Let's make sure you stay on it.